Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Hocus Pocus, and welcome back to the Minecraft LP series. This is episode 153, and if you were with me for the last one, you'll remember that we got started on the Panda Sanctuary, I think we called it? Panda Sanctuary? Anyway, it's somewhere over there, behind me. We'll go take a look at it in just a second, but something I do want to show you guys that happened in a stream between last episode and now is the fact that we worked a little bit further on the super smelter area here. So let's take a quick look at that and then we can be moving on. So what we did was add in a path that runs all of the way around the outside of the super smelter here. It doesn't actually connect anywhere just yet because we have a couple of issues. The first one being that we've got this huge chunk of terrain here that we'd need to run the path through. Yeah, I don't know what we're going to do about that. Potentially a tunnel of some sort. I don't know. We'll figure it out at some point. And then on the other side, a similar issue. We've got another chunk of terrain here, which doesn't quite match the terrain we've got down here. So maybe again, we'll just we'll kind of have a slope that goes up and across either in this direction or in that direction. And eventually we'll link up a path to the bridge over there that transitions us from the wheat field over there to the bamboo farm that we have over here. But all in all, I think this looks really great. And you know what, guys? There is another situation in which this build looks awesome, and that is the nighttime. So I quickly want to show you guys that, and then we can head over to the Panda Sanctuary and continue work on what will be a home for some guys and potentially girls, I suppose. Pandas that will... I don't know where this is going. We're just going to bring them to the base and have them live here. That's the short and simple of it. Anyway, let's get to nighttime, and we can be progressing onwards. And nighttime has finally fallen, and I hope you guys agree with me that this build looks very, very quaint at night. Very impressed, and I think you know what does it is the fact that we've got these fences here that run along the pathways with the lanterns on, and just the glow of those lights really does make this area look so... I think quaint is the right word. I use it often, and I think it is the right word, but I'm trying to think of synonyms for quaint. Can't really think of any at the moment, but it just seems so magical to me. I don't know how you guys experience this build, but here's a random comparison anyway. I quite like watching the Lord of the Rings movies, and I think a lot of the scenes in the Lord of the Rings movies give me that really magical, mystical vibe, and this build gives me the same feeling, and I'm really happy for that because that is kind of what I'm going for in this world. And we've also got this cave here that I forgot to mention. So we had a huge flat wall of dirt. I didn't really know what to do about it, and it looked kind of out of place. So I figured what we'd do is we'd just push it back a little bit, add some stone in there, put a bed, a crafting bench, a fire, and a lantern, and just make a small little cove, kind of like a hideout. So if you ever find yourself out here in the dead of night, you can just take a quick nap, and just like that, we can wake up the next day and things are once again safe, and we can progress through our world without the threat of being destroyed by a creeper, example right there, or other type of mob. Okay, and for those of you guys who were not with me for the last episode, which is totally okay, I 100% respect the fact that you don't have to watch all of my videos. So this is what we got so far for the Panda Sanctuary. We've got this small semicircular area, and I'm planning on this being part of the back of the sanctuary. And what I mean by that is that the build is going to progress in this direction down towards the water lake type area that we've got here. By the way, I really like this small piece of land with the tree on it. I don't know why. Just looks very interesting to me amongst all of the water. But that is besides the point. So as I say, the build is going to progress towards the water, and we will incorporate the water in one way or another. I'm not entirely sure just yet how we're going to do that, but we will do it, believe me. And that means that we will today be working on bringing, I guess, this wall across in this direction somehow, and then I'm thinking of using the water as kind of like one of the walls, I guess. But the problem is, pandas in Minecraft aren't going to be particularly afraid of, you know, swimming out into the depths. So we should probably think about preventing that from happening so that they don't swim out into the water, off to one of the sides, and eventually escape their captivity, because that isn't exactly what we're going for here. We are trying to keep the pandas in one location, so I'll have to think about that, as I say. But without further ado, let's jump into some building. Now, for those of you that were with me for the last episode, you may recall the fact that I said I wanted there to be a centerpiece in amongst this build, so I'm going to try and figure that out right now. So we've got this pillar here, and that lines up to the end of that side of the semicircle. So we want to kind of find the middle, I guess, of this strip of blocks, which shouldn't be too difficult. We just need to line ourselves up right here with that pillar there. Yeah, that seems to be okay. And then what we're going to do is clear ourselves a little bit of space here. We need to have a 3x3 area of dirt. So let's go ahead and make that possible. So we've got some dirt in here. Yep, there we go. So 1, 2, this can come out. We don't need any gravel, any path blocks, anything like that. We just need plain dirt. So something like this. And then what I'm going to try to do is create a giant jungle tree. So first of all, we want to do this. Hello? Is that going to struggle to grow? Maybe. Let's try this side then. Let's try something like this. Whoops. That's fine. Okay, so it seems as though maybe something is stopping these from growing, and I'm gonna assume it's the bamboo here, so let's go ahead and tear that down and then we can try again. Oh dear, so I guess we're just going to abort this mission because the idea was to grow 2 jungle trees within the same 3x3 area, but that doesn't seem to look like it's gonna work. So I guess maybe we'll just tear this jungle tree down here and have some smaller ones dotted throughout the build instead. But that does mean we're gonna have to take the base out here quickly. And then what did I have here? I can't remember. I had a mixture of some gravel and some... I'll just take out a couple of blocks here and there, like this maybe. So we had a coarse dirt, a gravel, and a path block. I'm just gonna replace those because I feel like we should, you know, just to keep the pattern consistent. And then that means we're gonna need some more bone meal as well to add some more grass to the area, but that's fine. We can figure that out off camera in just a second. But before we do go off camera, let me just fix the damage that we've already done here. So one of these needs to be coarse dirt. This guy here, and then you know what? We'll just put the... I was gonna put the path block there, but I just realized we need grass for that. So let's go ahead and grab some grass. This is me not thinking ahead and doing silly things instead. Here we go, grass block. But yeah, the idea was to have a huge jungle tree in the middle of all of this. Doesn't seem like that's going to work out for us, so I'm going to tear that thing down and we will try something else instead. Alright guys, a little bit of a life tip here. Anytime you have a failure, such as the tree here, you should go ahead and do something that you know for sure 100% will be a success. And for me, that is to complete the wall here that is going to surround the Panda Sanctuary. I know for sure this will be a success because so far the wall is looking good. And I can be assured that this will also look the same way as long as I continue to use the same block palette and the same design style choices. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So what we're going to do is just take the same design here all of the way around to the end. And then we should have a wall that finishes at this point and matches up perfectly with the wall over there. And then we'll discuss from that point where we are going to take things. Alright guys, so the wall building was a success. As I said, every time there is a failure, as long as you make sure the next task you do is a 100% successful task, and as long as you can be sure that those odds are actually stacked in your favor, which we could have been here because we knew for sure that we could just continue the pattern, things find a way of getting back on track. So we are back on track, as I say, the wall is complete on both sides. And I have got a good feeling because the start of our Panda Sanctuary here is looking very cool indeed. So let's take a few steps back and get a bit of a better view of it. Maybe from up here would be a good idea. So you can see we've got vines running all the way along, apart from this area here actually. I must have missed that out. We can begin to transfer some across though because we've doubled up over on this side. So it shouldn't hurt just to grab a few back. And the good thing about this wall as well is it's acting as a makeshift vine farm for the time being, because you guys know that ever since we began renovating down in the ravine base, vines have been kind of tough to come across because we don't have as many growing in the world anymore, so they're kind of hard to gather. But I think by using this wall as a temporary vine farm for now, of course the vines will live there forevermore because that does fit the theme of the Panda Sanctuary. By using it as a farm, we are allowing ourselves just to keep resources ticking over that we need to use for the build, because they're useful for when we need to place vines down like this, and they're also useful for the mossy cobblestone, which we've been using in great quantities here. So far so good guys, I hope you feel the same way, and now we can hopefully start making some progress from this point over across to the water area here. Okay guys, so progressing onwards, as I say, we want to take the Panda Sanctuary and move it in this direction, so keep expanding it across to the water. So what I want to do first is, I'm thinking that we just keep the walls the same height all the way to the end now. And we're actually going to try to transition this area into the natural generated terrain here. So that's why I want to keep the wall at this height, because that should be able to keep the pandas in. So we'll just kind of see where this lines up once it meets the water, and then we'll gauge kind of whether or not we're going to keep it as a straight wall. Maybe add a few twists and turns into it. I have no idea just yet, honestly. I haven't really planned out exactly where I want this to go, so it's going to end up meeting the water at this point here. Kind of good spot, I suppose. I don't particularly see anything wrong with it anyway, I'll say that much. So that's where that wall will end right there at the water. And then maybe if we keep this one straight, we can perhaps do something a little bit different on this side just to mix things up ever so slightly. So again, we'll kind of just keep the wall at a consistent height from this point out and see where it leads us. I'll actually take that guy back, thank you. All right, so we are running out of slabs. So what I'll do is I'll just run in a straight line, see where this takes us. It's going to take us to, okay, so there's a couple of caves. Not exactly ideal, but we can work around them. And then it kind of comes up towards the lava here. So what we could do is maybe keep it straight and then have sort of a quarter circle that runs in this direction and then joins up with the shoreline here so that it kind of spreads round the corner. I think that might be a good idea. Here, give me just a second to map this out and I will bring you guys back in to check it out. So something like this I think is the way to go. So we've got kind of a quarter circle thing going on here. You'll have to bear with me for an explanation in just a second. We also need to figure out this section here. That should be just about high enough to prevent the pandas from exiting the area, which is good. Works out perfectly, which is partially luck. Good fortune, I guess. But here, where does this end? It ends... Is that the end? Yeah, I think that's the end. Okay, so what I was thinking was a 15 diameter circle has a corner that looks like this. So it will be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So I've gone with a 15 diameter quarter circle. Not that it particularly matters because with these long stretches of walls, you can't really tell what the diameter would be anyway, I guess. So doesn't really matter, but this looks quite clean to me. So we've got that nice transition. And then the wall will end on the shoreline somewhere over there. Now I'm thinking, what do we do to keep the pandas in the area? We can perhaps... I've got kind of an idea. So we could kind of stretch the walls out into the water slightly and then just run a glass wall between the walls just to make it look like there isn't anything there, but at the same time prevent the pandas from swimming too far out. That might be a good idea. I'm just trying to think if that will look good or not, though. That's the problem. We need this to look good, right? We need it to look good, and I'm not quite sure what the glass is going to look like, so maybe it'll be something we just have to test. But at least we have the walls mapped out now. We can kind of think about transitioning this terrain into what we've got here, so let's give that a bit of a shot. Okay guys, so it's actually the next day in real life and I've just finished work for the day. I only had a half day, so I'm aiming to get this video finished up and out this evening. It might come out a little bit later than 4:30, but I'm okay with that. We need to get something out because it's been a while, right? So last night before I finished the recording session, I did manage to blend the terrain, and although it's a little bit rough, the blend, I actually quite like it. So we've got this nice hilly area, and you can see it's not going to be very easy for the pandas to actually scale up there because there are some too high areas and all that good stuff. But as I say, don't mind that at all. I want it to look as natural as possible, so we'll stick with what we got. But the next thing we need to do is to start using some of the textures down here. So the podzol, coarse dirt, and gravel, just to blend everything together. So we'll just start moving in this direction, I guess, and we can kind of just take out blocks here and there. And then, as I say, we'll just be popping in some of this guy, some of that guy, and some of this guy, and then maybe some path blocks here and there as well, just to keep everything flowing. And we'll probably stick with that theme throughout the Panda Sanctuary. So that's going to be a big task, and I think what I want to work on now for a little bit is maybe getting some of this wall in place, because we've mapped out the walls and I feel like we should probably focus on getting a bit of that set up. So let's go ahead and do that for a few moments here. And we're back to regular speed. So I thought I'd time-lapse that for you guys just to make it a bit more interesting rather than just coming back and forth between builds. I'm now going to continue working on placing some of the pillars down for the wall here. So we're going to go one here, I think. And what I'm doing is I'm just going 7 blocks in between each of these pillars. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then again here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's about as far as we'll go with that. So we've placed all of the pillars in for this side of the wall. The problem is now that I'm just relying on the vines here to grow so that we can keep replenishing the mossy cobblestone supply. We also need to make sure that we've got enough andesite and cobblestone. Those two shouldn't really be an issue. It's just the mossy that I'm worried about. It's slightly difficult for us to get the vines at the moment. But this area here is acting, as I say, as a temporary vine farm. So it's making life a bit more easier than it was, which is good. But anyway, let's quickly take a look at the wall as it stands, because I realize we haven't taken a proper look. So on this side, things lined up pretty well. So the next pillar would actually fall exactly after this block here. So that turns out okay. And as I say, I'm thinking of putting maybe a glass wall that goes diagonally across the water just to stop the pandas from straying too far from the sanctuary. I don't really want them to escape, of course. And then on this side, we haven't really made too much progress with the wall. We're up to this point, and we've got a fair old distance to go. So you know what? Let's perhaps see how many vines we can collect here and see how far we can get this wall today before we finish up. Hopefully we can get it quite far, because once we get to this point over here, it's not going to take too many blocks, is it, to fill that in? So yeah, we might be able to get this wall pretty much complete today. You know what? I'm going to say we're going to complete it. We're going for it. Alright guys, so the wall is complete, and what I'm going to do is turn off my HUD, put the cinematic camera on, and we're just going to take a nice panoramic view of the wall. And this camera moves very smoothly. I like it. So here we go, all of the way around. All of the way. And there it is. So the wall finishes abruptly, as it does on the other side, which is kind of a misfortune, but we can work ourselves around that eventually. So the wall, as it stands, isn't going to do much, because as I say, the water here allows for a swift exit if the pandas choose to do so, I suppose. So we're going to need to figure that out at some point, and as I say, the glass wall is probably the #1 idea, unless you guys have got anything else for me. We've also got a couple of guys already trapped in here, so I would advise you, Horse, and I think he has a couple of friends over here. Let me just double check that that is the case, or maybe they've left by now. You know what, that reminds me actually, I did cover up a lot of the caves over here, and there's a cave somewhere around here that I covered up that had a sheep in it, so maybe that was the guy. So he's essentially done for, so poor thing. There he is. You guys hear that? Yeah, he's down there somewhere, but this guy needs to leave or face the wrath of my blade at some point. So just giving you a heads up, Horsey. Don't want to kill you, but if you don't leave, this is for pandas only, you will be slain. Okay, so now that we've given the warnings out, that means that they can't complain when I do eventually slash them with my sword, obviously. Trying to think if there's anything quick we can do before the video ends here, guys, because we are getting to the end of it. We're going to be around the 19-minute mark at this point, I believe. Maybe a little bit further than that, I don't actually know, but that's what I'm guessing. So perhaps we will just wrap things up and get this video out. That might be a good idea. Give me just a second. Alright guys, welcome back to this episode for the last time for today. I just want to say a quick thank you to you guys for still hanging around, sticking around, commenting, liking, that kind of thing, even though the video releases obviously have slowed down a lot since the schedule change at work, which is so unfortunate because I felt like we had something good going, and I guess we still do really, but it's just getting a lot more tough now to find the time to record videos, and that sucks because this is something that I really enjoy. But I guess we'll keep grinding through it, get videos out when we can, and all that good stuff, and just hope that you guys don't eventually get bored of me and leave, but I wouldn't blame you if you did. Anyway, I just wanted to say a quick thank you for that. So if you did enjoy today's episode, please be sure to drop a like down below. That'd be much appreciated by myself. Any questions, suggestions, comments, or feedback should be definitely popped down in the comment section below so that I can respond to you guys and we can have a little bit of that interaction that we love. And then finally, if you're new around here and wouldn't mind subscribing, that would be great. Or if you aren't new but haven't subscribed yet, then please be sure to consider it because I'd love to have you here. And as I say, we got a good thing going. We're growing as a group of people And the community sense that we've got so far is definitely awesome. And whoa, that was weird. And for that reason, I recommend you join in with the fun. So as I say, guys, this is it for episode 153. Take care of yourselves, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Bye for now.